So that is Adam Schefter talking about the big report this week. Robert Saleh, he is fired. He is no longer. He is canned. So we're going to lead off with some Jets news this week. We are the Three Angry Giant Fans. As your host, Scott, Giant Mike, Cardone, and Angry Jets fan Novak. And our favorite reason to drink during a game, Salah, is no longer. That magnificent bastard with his hair that he can, or his beard that he can grow in a 5-minute notice, canned.
Yes, someone from CBS and Fox just is really upset that they've lost their job focusing on Salah during games right now.
Yeah. I was saying, like, every cameraman and every technical director that handles Jets games, they're out of work. That's it.
Yeah, it's a really sad day. There's a lot of people out of work.
Yeah.
I know.
This feels weird for me to actually lead off this podcast, but look, I said it last week. It was time. The guy was just a useless cheerleader. I felt this was coming. It's the right thing to do. He was useless, let's be honest. And for me, the second that Quincy Williams on Sunday, who everyone thinks Sauce Gardner, C.J. Mosley, Quinn Williams is the leader of that defense, not true. It's Quincy Williams. And when Quincy Williams says we have to be held, no one's held accountable for their actions on the field, and it starts at the top, I was like, it's game over for Salah. So he's gone. And for the dick to come out today on McAfee and say he had nothing to do with it is such a fucking lie. Everyone knows that the dick absolutely had something to do with this. Salah is gone because he didn't like him. That from that push from 2 weeks ago, away, don't hug me, all of that, to all the things that have transpired. The bottom line is, though, this is a dysfunctional franchise. When have you guys ever remembered an NFL team firing their coach 5 to 7 games into a year and turning it around? Look, I wanted it, but I don't think it's going to do anything. This team is destined for fucking failure. But look, it's the right thing to do. I like Ulbrich, but Salah, goodbye. We don't have the drinking game anymore, which is a little sad, but it was right. This is what needs to happen.
Now, I don't think an NFL team has fired a coach mid-season and made the playoffs. There's one caveat there. John Gruden, who resigned but was probably going to get fired, the Raiders did go to the playoffs that season.
But he was fired for wrong reasons, though. I mean, it wasn't he was a bad coach. It was just he was a racist. So there's that.
Yeah. What about that Chuck Pagano? Isn't there someone like that who came into a floundering team as an interim coach and they made a big run? Maybe they didn't make the playoffs, but
Jeff Saturday?
I don't know why Chuck Pagano
won
jumped
one
in
game,
my head.
I think. And
there have been coaches who have turned things around and have gotten a few wins, but just none of them have ever taken a team out of the playoffs and brought them to the playoffs.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Hard to believe this is happening.
Yeah. So before we get too deep in that, and we'll continue that discussion, let's give a shout out. First, I want to thank our viewers. So we have two sponsors. The first sponsor, Carolina Beer Temple in Matthews, North Carolina. We had a great turnout for our show preseason there, and you guys really came out and supported us. And then our newest sponsor, Rugged Uncle, who we'll talk about a little bit later. You guys went out and bought some product last week, so you used our code, and we really appreciate the support that you've given to our sponsors. That being said, let's give a shout out, not to a sponsor, but to a town. So hello, Rayford, North Carolina, population 4,559. And this was named after John McCrae and A.A. Williford. They took the Ray part and then the Ford part. And they had a turpentine distillery and a general store. It's amazing how many of these old towns came from general stores. And when you say turpentine distillery, I wonder what else they were distilling too. But in the 19th century, it was the largest settlement of Gaelic-speaking Scots in North America, and still has a lot of Scots there.
Gaelic.
Right, just outside of Fayetteville, right?
Yeah,
Rayford?
just outside of Fayetteville.
Yeah.
Fayetteville. I think they raise chickens there now.
Is that where
Rayford
they also?
Farms?
Yeah. Is that where they make Mullen Spring drinking spring water? Mr. Pitt's company.
Yeah, this looks like more of like what you would call like a hamlet. I'm not sure this is how big this place is. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. That's decent size. Makes me think of old Bob Rayford from the John Boy and Billy show.
Oh yeah,
Was it Bob Rayford? I think that was his name.
I think it was Bob Rayford. Yeah,
like the original Angry Man. Rayford was an angry man.
He passed away several years ago, but yeah. So Salah was fired by the Jets by GM Rodgers. It was funny. They interviewed Woody Johnson. Woody Johnson said, we made the decision, and I made the decision to fire him. And I thought to myself, the way he's going out of his way to say it means that he definitely did not fire Salah. And rumor is, now I'm sure Novak, you've heard this, but the rumor is that Salah wanted to demote Hackett from the play calling duties, and that pissed off Hackett's best friend, the Dick.
He mentioned that to a few people the night before, and then he said it to a couple people apparently, and then 5 minutes later he was fired. So to think that did not have something to do with it is BS. Rodgers is the GM and owner of this team. Let's be honest.
This has got Dick written all over it, doesn't it?
Absolutely,
it
does.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah,
it's just
a lot of power and influence with the Dick.
It reeks of the Dick.
Yeah.
So Jets and the Vikings had a game in London which preceded Salah getting fired, and Rodgers was visibly just disgusted in that game. And Van Ginkel had a touchdown return against them, so he's now scored defensive touchdowns against the Giants and the Jets this year.
Yeah,
which fitting.
I wonder who we would think the worst pass was, from Daniel Jones or from Rodgers to Van Ginkel, because they were both pretty freaking pathetic. Let's be honest. And both of those games were hard to watch. Can you guys believe that the Vikings are 5-0? Like, who would have thought that? Unbelievable that this team is 5-0.
No, like, why would you even put in week one? Why would you even put like $2 on that bet? Like to win anything, $2 to return, even a big return. Like, no, I'm not even wasting $2 for like $1,000 return. What for? 5-0. Fuck out of here, the Vikings. Right? That's the NFL.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I think by kickoff we'd already heard too all the British jokes that they possibly could have run with the puns. They play how many games now over in London, and they recycle the same goddamn jokes every game.
Yep, like they can't help themselves. They can't stop it. It's just got to be pun after pun after pun, which is stupid enough just on the surface, but it's got mentioned. All right, this is like the 7th year we've done this now. We've heard all of these, Big Ben jokes. You got to mix Big Ben in somewhere. Oh, London Bridge is falling down for the, just stop it. Stop it.
And we've got more of them to deal with, which is the hardest part about all of it.
Oh, yeah.
I hate these 9:00 games. I really, and especially when your team is playing. I hate it. I hate 9:30 football. It's so stupid on a Sunday. Like, why do I have to sit through this on 9:30? And we got to do it again this weekend with well, I guess it's the Jaguars. Who cares about them? But just
stay in bed.
Stay in bed. Put a team over there. I'm so tired of the NFL with this London thing. Get over it.
The worst part is, even if you win, you have the rest of the day for football, but you're sort of like, geez, I got up and, football's just starting now. It's not like when you win at a 1:00 game, you're sort of sitting there for the 4:00 games and the 7:00 games, and you're just laying back. When it happens in the morning like that, you almost feel like you need to just get outside and do something after your team wins or loses.
It's the worst.
So anything you want to say about the game other than the aftermath? Got the coach fired and
No,
Rodgers looked disinterested a few times.
He very much looked disinterested, as did the rest of the offense. I think the defense finally had gotten to the point where this is the Jets of 2023 and 2022. We've got to pick this team up every time. And it's it's the same script. Last week I was screaming about Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson actually had a decent game, but Jets can't run the ball. And Nathaniel Hackett is a terrible offensive coordinator. He's only the offensive coordinator because of the Dick. I think it's true that they were going to hand play calling to Todd Downing, and I think Ulbrich might still do it anyway. And hopefully the dick will fall in line because there's no creativity. There's nothing they do that any defense does not read ahead of the game. It's just pathetic overall. This is what they signed up for. I told you guys at the beginning of the year, this is going to go one of two ways. They're going to be a Super Bowl contender, or the dick is going to torpedo this organization. And right now, it's looking like he's doing that. So, it's a tough spot.
Yeah, he just looked like an old man
many
again.
Dick puns.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So many dick puns.
Yeah, we were complaining about puns just a moment ago, but yeah, he looked like a limp one out there for most of the game.
He really did.
He was flaccid would be the description. Yeah,
he looks like an old dick. He really does. He just like he can't get it done anymore. Like an old dick. He just can't do it.
I don't know what you guys thought, but like late in the game when he got crumpled in that, they were down near towards their own goal line there, and Rodgers got collided and kind of rolled up on and looked like he made that face, like he had been shot.
I thought it was over at that point.
I thought again, I'm like, holy shit, again, this guy's out for the year. He must have tore something. Just the way he went down, that looked really awkward. So I was wondering, like, Novak, what was as that was happening immediately, like, I was sort of like, holy shit, like this guy again. Like, what was your immediate gut reaction, like, as with that play?
I too thought he was done. I really did. And crazy enough, there was a part of me that thought, all right, let's get Tyrod Taylor in here. Let's see what he can do, because the dick had done nothing. And, he came back.
But crazy to think, I mean, they had a potential game-winning drive at the end there.
They did.
Before the turnover. And that was, it was hard to believe. I couldn't believe the Jets were actually in that situation. But just wait, so give them credit for coming back, right? And then at the end there, but something I don't know about you guys, but I was thinking, I didn't feel it. I was like, I don't see the Jets scoring like a game-winning touchdown here, like on that drive. I just didn't feel it as it was.
I didn't either.
As they were kind of moving down the field, and then that was just a lame throw at the end of the that last pass there. That's kind of just summed up the entire game.
He had a wide open Garrett Wilson down the sideline, and that would have sealed the game, and he missed them. And look, if you're a Hall of Fame quarterback and you're getting all this guaranteed dollars, and you're going to come save the franchise, got to make that play. Got to. And that's on the dick. He had to make that throw, and he didn't. And Saleh's firing is on him in a lot of ways, and he's probably fine with it. But it had to happen. We'll see what happens next week.
And I see the officials' flags certainly made it through customs. Had no problem taking a trip over to London there. It's funny. I looked at the box score. It felt like there were a hell of a lot of penalties on the Jets secondary with illegal contact and that one particular drive. You saw Sauce's reaction on that one breakup. They broke up the one defended pass, and he kind of was just almost mocking the officials, like, "Oh, I just made a play," And I'm looking. Minnesota actually had 11 penalties to the Jets 8, so 19 penalties overall for both teams. Just another fucking flag fest. Another NFL game flag fest.
I mean, if you can't cover Justin Jefferson, you might as well just.
You can't.
If you're Sam Darnold, just throw it up to him on 3rd and 19, and you're going to get a PI. That's just the way it is, and that's where the NFL is right now.
Guys, they have to do something about these illegal contact and defensive holding.
They do.
They really do. It is so out of control.
Yep, I agree.
And they're so concerned with thinking the fan wants a shortened game, right? They at least they seem like they're really worried about the fan experience. No one I've met yet in all my years, I've been saying this since I was young. I remember Scott and I talking about it in our 20s, for crying out loud. I still have never met a person that I wish these games were a little shorter. However, I've heard lots of people say these flag fests suck. Nobody wants to watch that.
I've also never seen this much controversy of whether or not a fucking team got a first down or not. They used to bring out the damn chains, and there was no debate about it. We had to get it. It's incredible. I'm obsessed with that, guys. At both levels, college and the pros, watching first downs where you don't know if the guy got the first down. It's insane how they just march. They just march the ball down the field. They won't even look at it. It's crazy.
And that's great coaching, because Kevin O'Connell he sends in the play, just throw it downfield and hope for a PI if we've got
Yeah.
third and incredibly long. And you're going to get it 7 out of 10 times. You really are.
Yeah.
I saw the one illegal contact where literally the defender never even touched the receiver. So
Yeah.
I don't even know what they were looking at.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Darnold in this game, I didn't realize this, but he's under 50%, 179 yards.
Yep.
I mean, I haven't heard a lot of people talking about, boy, is the Sam Darnold back? Is the, just because they happen to win the game, that stuff gets glossed over sometimes. But he was incredibly pedestrian. He had more incomplete passes in that game than at the time than the Washington quarterback has on the season. He had,
Yep.
That's stupid. Yeah.
So as the Jets were losing in London, Giants took the field in Seattle. Thought for sure it'd be a big loss. Opening drive Giants have. They look really good, move the ball downfield, and we get a fumble at the goal line, returned 102 yards for a touchdown, and we're all thinking the game's over. And in the end, heck, the Giants dominated this game. They won by 9, and they need a late field goal block and run back by Isaiah Simmons, who was the special teams player of the week, by the way, to win this game. But for them to overcome that fumble, which we'll talk about this because I don't think it was a fumble, and by any metric that the NFL has used in the past about ball breaking the plane, it really shouldn't have counted. But putting that aside, Dexter Lawrence had a monster game. Daniel Jones played well. Slayton played well. Tyrone Tracy played well. And you know what? We got a big win in a game, and we needed it because we didn't gain ground on the rest of the division. The Cowboys and the Redskins won as well.
Yeah, to me, that's the story of this game. I'm super happy about the win, and people look in the paper and they see the Giants won by 9. If you didn't watch this game, anyone out there listening, this was really close to being a Grey Goose game. It was really damn close. If the Giants don't fumble, or, to Scott's point, maybe they didn't, but if that play doesn't happen, the Giants dominated the rest of this game. The Seattle Seahawks had one good drive. It's essentially a touchdown the Giants gave them late in the fourth quarter. Just backing up, which in my opinion was a little too early to do that. But be as it may, it worked and we won. So to me, that's the story of this game. I don't, it would have been a shame to me if this game went to overtime. That's what I was thinking when they're lining up for the kick. And I'm actually thinking, as well as the Giants played, I wanted them to hurry up and kick it. 55 seconds left. I think we still had 2 timeouts. I'm thinking they can't stop us. We're going to go down and win this game. But in the back of my head the whole time, I'm thinking, but it never should be anywhere near this. The Giants outplayed them in every phase. And then, to nail down the special teams phase, huge play at the end of the game. It was an exciting win. I mean, I'm sure you guys are the same as me. I was sitting there, Cardone style, when they're lining up for the kick going, where's our shank? Where's our blocked field goal? Where's
doubt. Yeah. Oh, of course.
And there it was.
Yes. So. And it's funny, Mike, even with that, I still had to worry about, I didn't burst out right at first because in this league, you have to worry about that little yellow flag box. Because I was worried, did Simmons, I was waiting for the personal foul fucking call, of climbing and leveraging the lineman there. So I was, when I didn't see the flag at first, and then when they showed the replay, I'm like, that's a clean block, man, that's clean, So that is as satisfying a road win, or any win for that matter, that this team has had in a long time. I especially love winning on the road because I love sending a home crowd home muttering to themselves, how they lose that game. Like we've done so many times on a Sunday where we're just we turn into mental patients muttering about our team. But, Scott, you mentioned a couple of the big time players. I mean, Tyrone Tracy stepped up. Mike, he looked great. The O-line did a great job. Darius Slayton, best game of his career. I know he had a pretty good game in the wild card game against Minnesota a couple of years ago, but by far, I was begging someone to step up. That's the thing. Malik Neighbors out, Singletary out. I was thinking, how in the hell are we going to compete against this team? But let me tell you guys, I wrote this down, and I think we talked about this. We're usually on the short end of this equation, but the New York Giants played on Thursday night, as we all know, the week before. So they had that mini bye. Seattle played Monday night on the road at Detroit, coming home. Which team looked flat? Which team looked dead? Seattle Seahawks looked dead. The Giants came in with fervor, energy, cachet, and Seattle looked dead. Seattle took the field, and I know it was. I tell you, the play of the game was the DK Metcalf fumble. That was the play of the game, I think, in my opinion, because it was the game. It was 10-10, third quarter. The Giants had been dominating to that point. I kept saying to myself, God, we lose this game, then I don't know when the hell we're going to win, because the Giants were just dominating, and you saw Metcalf's body language. He's got shitty body language anyway. He went into a shell the rest of the game. He did, sulking and pouting, asshole. And then, we'll get into some of the X's and O's, Scott, but just as satisfying a win as you can get for this team. So we'll see what it does for the upcoming weeks. But I went from being, like you said, just absolutely numb on that the fumble return. We're down 7-0 to just elation by the end of the game. Crazy swing of emotions.
When you were talking about Seattle, and we had mentioned it last week about if you're a Seattle fan, you're upset with the schedule maker on that.
Yeah.
Well, lo and behold, Seattle plays Thursday this week.
Yes. They mentioned that. So they can screw it again.
Fuck them 3 times till Sunday.
I know.
It's like,
yeah.
So now on that, I have to say this. I mean, you look at that fumble play, and here's the result of the Giants playing with the CBS's 5th crew doing the game, where they brought one cameraman along to Seattle, because look at the sequence that happened. They fumble at the goal line. You see a ref's running in, trying to mark the ball, but no, they're letting a guy run down the field with the ball. And then they go to a commercial when they're doing the review. We don't get a replay before they go to commercial. They come back from commercial, and the only replay we get is from the back of the end zone, where it sure as hell looks like Gray breaks the plane. And remember, the criteria for breaking the plane is the ball just has to touch the line, and it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
He fumbles through after he already crosses the line, and on top of it, he might have even been down. You don't even know, because you're watching the elbow go down and things like that. There was nothing from above, nothing from the side. It almost seemed like they just rushed the review and said, all right, we're just going to give the touchdown to Seattle.
Yeah. Listen, I guess I'm not mad about it, because the way the game turned out, I know that's a bang call. I know the call on the field is going to stand, especially as Scott mentioned, if you only are looking at one replay, which, maybe the officials had more. I don't know. But the thing to me, when I watched it the very last time they showed it, I hadn't noticed it before, but he's kind of reaching the ball out. He's got both hands on the ball, and it looks like it might be twisting in his hand a little bit, but I don't know if that's him twisting. But as soon as he loses possession of the ball, he puts his left hand straight down, and it's over the goal line.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, as soon as the ball comes out of his hand, he puts his left hand on the ground, and it's like the heel of his hand is on the center of the goal line. So that's what the one I saw that said, hey, if I'm looking at that, again, because of the angle we had, it's really hard to tell. You don't know that his hand went directly straight down. But to me, when I saw that one, I said, gosh, that's a touchdown, man. Which would have been, it would have been one thing if they just recovered it in the end zone. But then, you got the play where 3/4 of both teams are confused. Nobody knows what's going on. There's a guy jogging down the field. How often do we see that kind of play happen? And all the refs are like, easy. No one's scoring a touchdown.
Calm down,
everyone. Just. And by the way, isn't the official coming in from the sideline?
He was coming in, yes.
Waving. Isn't he blowing a whistle when he does that? I mean, typically, I think that there's a whistle blown there, but I don't know. Again, I'm not going to bitch too much about it. It was a crazy call, but whatever they called was going to stand. And
I was going to use this as my pet peeve, but I knew it wouldn't survive. So I do have a backup one later, Scott. So don't worry. I have a small backup. I have a Yeah, I have pet peeve 1A for a small one later. So let's just talk about this now. I was thinking the same thing. I kept thinking after that, like we have 45 cameras on fucking Robert Saleh's head right throughout a game, walking up and down the sidelines, and we didn't have that. Where's that? I kept saying, where's the reverse camera angle right on the goal line? We never got the benefit of that. We kept, like you said, we just broke it down, but. When and where have we not seen no matter what game it is, what situation, and all the points we're making? How many times do you see? I think it was even Bo Nix this weekend. Drew Brees was like the master of the old jump over the pile and bring the ball back. And the ball would always come flying out like fucking a box of popcorn. Stuff is just flying all over the place. I'm like, and immediately the arms go up. Like, how is that a touchdown? The ball's on the 5-yard line, bouncing around. And Gray is, like you said, he's near the ground. He's in a pile of bodies. There's no camera right down the goal line. It looks from even the behind the end zone angle that just by the trajectory, like he's got to be breaking the plane there. And as soon as he does, plays over, touchdown. Yeah, that was my peeve. I'm like, I kept just barking in the living room here. I'm like, where's the fucking camera down the line?
Well, they bring Gene Steratore in. And Gene Steratore, instead of saying you can't really tell what happens there, he goes, well, that's a great job by the officials to let this play out. And it's like, why is it a good job to let them play out? None of the players are playing it out.
No.
One guy picks the ball up in the back of the end zone. Everyone else is literally standing around, or else the Giants might have gone after the guy if they really thought it was a legitimate fumble. But no one thought it was a fumble.
No, everyone's standing around waiting for him to unpile the pile. It was kind of cheesy the way that was done. I'm mad about it again. I had gotten over it. Now I'm pissed off about it again.
The other thing I'm mad about too, and I hate to harp on the officials, is I
never say anything about the officials. You don't.
Yeah. But this goddamn thing now with the first down salute, either call it on everyone or don't call it at all. You cannot like Mahomes did one of these and didn't get called for it. It looked like he was doing like a shotgun or something. If you're really going to say it's something that's promoting violence, there's actually an easy fix to this. Don't flag anyone. Fine them after the game.
Yeah.
There's no need to flag anyone.
You know why I think he got flagged, guys? I don't know if you noticed this, but he was signaling first down, and then like a player or a coach or something for the Seahawks is right there. So he kind of picked his arms up to let that guy walk under him, and then he did it again. So it almost looked like, like he was doing a gun motion. I can't believe I'm talking about this as part of a football game, by the way. I can't believe that I'm sitting here breaking down whether or not a first down signal looked like a gun
motion.
Oh my God. Where are we right now?
That's gun motion. Like, was it a football move? Why don't we just review it and be like, well, his arm's coming down. Did it,
every defender now, when they get a sack, is doing this move where they like sheath a sword into their side. Is that not a weapon, or what are we doing here? If you're like I said, if you're going to crack down on these things, find the shit out of these guys on Monday.
Yeah.
But don't ruin the game by flagging some and not flagging others. CeeDee Lamb did the same exact.
Exactly.
I don't even know what separates it to. He did the same exact motion, no flag.
I guess if you're sheathing the sword, that's like the opposite of violence. You're putting the sword away.
Right.
Yeah. You're not planning. If you did this and pulled it out, that would be.
Yeah. Well, then it's. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
There's no foul for whatever they call that penalty. The player was sheathing the sword.
Guys, the Giants are first in the league in sacks. We were getting on the Giants early in the year about not getting pressure. Now, I was going to bring this up when we talk about the Giants-Bengals preview, but Kayvon Thibodeau is he's going to be out several weeks. He just had surgery on his wrist. They put a screw in. It did look like at the end of the game he got hurt there, and it you couldn't tell what was happening. He's on the ground. He left the game, and he looked like he was holding his arm, but he was holding his wrist, I guess. But that's a big blow.
That one hurts. I felt like it came out of nowhere. I did see that announcement, Scott, and I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, when the hell did that happen? But I do recall now at the end of the game that he was kind of, he was favoring it for sure.
I didn't realize it was several weeks. That's that does say, it's like, hey, Anytime the Giants have something good, we had to have something taken away.
Yeah, we got to have something. Yeah, we always got to have. We always have to win at the expense of somebody going down for a couple of weeks. Yep. It's incredible.
And the thing about Thibodeau, which a lot of people don't notice because he's not throwing up stat numbers, but that dude, since the beginning of the year, he's been playing very well. He's in the backfield creating trouble all the time. And a lot of times it's just him, and it's hard to do anything when it's just you. But do you guys know about the Havoc stats? The Giants are number one in Havoc as well, which the best name of a stat ever. But I think it started a few years ago, and I've always liked it. There's a website for it. I follow it, but it's basically just like anytime the defense disrupts a play. So interceptions, tackles for a loss in the backfield, fumbles, QB hurries, hits, sacks. Anytime you stop a team on third or fourth down, those are called havoc plays. And ever since I kind of fell upon that stat a few years ago, the Giants have been like in the last 5 in the league in it. They're number 1 in havoc right now for their defense. So this is I give the defensive coordinator a little bit of credit here because this is not his nature. That's why I didn't really like the hire. But I think after week 2, Dable might have gotten his ass a little bit and said, look, we got to come after the quarterback. And it's shown up. It really has.
One of my favorite verbs usually precedes havoc. Wreaking
havoc. Yeah.
So so looking forward to Sunday. Giants again have a primetime game. They're playing the Bengals. Bengals are 1-4. And I think every single one of their games has been within 6 points. Joe Burrow looked great against the Ravens, had a hard luck loss. They missed a field goal in overtime that would have won it. And Jamar Chase is heating up. I've seen several people. Now, this is what gets me about Giant fans. We are, we're on the precipice of being a terrible team sometimes. We get a win against Seattle, and everyone's like, oh, we got to win this next game by double digits. It's like the Bengals are still a good team. They're 1-4. I'm more afraid of them at 1-4 than I would be at probably 5-0 at this point. But again, Sunday night game. It is at home. Tibbs is out. Ojulari needs to step up. But it's another primetime game where the Giants traditionally just have not done well in the last decade or so.
Yeah. This game could put this whole season on a new trajectory for us. I'm not ready to say I think the Giants should win, and certainly not by double digits or anything like that. But winning this game against a team, albeit 1-4, is a pretty solid football team. At home in prime time, giving us an over 500 or 500 record, right? 3-3 we would be. Yeah. That could really send this season on sort of another path than I think where we had thought we had been going. Which just means then that the next week they'll lose to someone they shouldn't and just dash all hopes. But this is a big game for the Giants. No question about it. It's a big game for the Bengals too. But I did hear the Bengals are playing their starters.
I was going to ask that question.
You beat me to it, Mike.
So, the next game after this is actually the Philly game. I will, let me couch this by saying I have plans to be in Disney that Sunday, but with Milton coming on shore, I don't know if I'll have plans to go to Disney. So we'll see how that happens.
Yeah.
And we're still another week away, but you never know. I mean, if the reports are true that this is a devastating hurricane, you never know what the damage will be to Disney.
Yep. True. You may not be going.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys just said it. It's funny. I'm still savoring the victory against Seattle, but I got to turn our attention to Cincinnati. And the thing about Cincinnati, they're a desperate team. They're a desperate football team, and their season may be over. I don't know what if you look at percentages of a 1-4 football team, it's got to be some kind of single digit of the percent of making the playoffs and all that stuff. But tell that to the Bengals, right? That their season is not worth playing for at this point. Now, so we know our history. Recent, with playing in prime time, especially playing in prime time at home. I feel like we never win a prime time home game. It's incredible. Aren't we due for one of those? Aren't we due for one of these wins?
Why not us?
Why not? Believe, I'm one of those guys, holding up one of those signs. So I'm not giving my prediction just yet, but Cincinnati, I don't know if you guys watched the end of the game against Baltimore. man, they gave that game away. They had that game looked for sure like it was going to be a win, and yeah, man, they just let they got that turnover in overtime. They decided not to freaking move the ball at all. They went into a shell. It was, the only thing about that was I was like, oh my god, other teams do the same bullshit as the Giants. Like I was thinking like, oh, we would do the same thing. We'd get the overtime. We'd settle for that 50-yard field goal, not try to get a first down. Cincinnati did that. The guy bobbled the snap, a la looked like it was Romo-esque for a little bit. They got the ball up in the air, but yeah, and then of course we know what happened at the end there with Derrick Henry. So. Yeah, Cincinnati's coming in, man. They're frightening. We know Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. This is a scary team coming in. I think we could score some points against them. If the offense plays anywhere near they did against Seattle, I think we can score with Cincinnati. But this is going to be it's going to be another nail biting kind of game.
Guys, we didn't bring this up when we were talking about the Seahawks game, but that very first play from scrimmage the Giants had, where Jones goes back, he sort of touches the ground with the ball and fumbles it, and then recovers it back behind him, and it's 2nd and 18 at that point, and the Giants ended up getting a first down on that drive and keep it going. We're seeing immense improvements in the Giants being able to move the ball and overcome some of those either penalties or negative plays, and kudos has to go out to the offensive line, because that offensive line is not the offensive line we're used to.
No, and I'll also give a lot of credit to Brian Daboll and taking over the play calling for this team. Really, I mean, I think Daboll, despite the record, I think he's coaching wonderfully this year. It should be maybe considered for a coach of the year candidate or coach of the first 5 weeks if they give that away. But for what this team has had and the things they've overcome, as soon as I said they don't overcome anything, right? They go out and overcome that horrendous start against Cleveland. And their 2 wins of the season now, they both come with just horrific starts. Scott mentioned like the fumble on the first play or immediately in 2nd and 18. And then, of course, we've talked ad nauseum about the fumble at the goal line. That's a terrible way to start a game. That's a terrible way to end what was a 16-play drive.
Yeah.
At that time. And they just went back to business. They just went back to work after that, which, luckily I'm not a coach or a player on that team because I had quit. I had shut it down for the day at that point. So yeah, I think Daboll deserves a lot of credit. I mean, these numbers against Seattle, they're eye-opening. And one of the things I wanted to mention, we kind of shifted back to Seattle here a little bit, which I guess isn't surprising considering it was, as Cardone mentioned, maybe our biggest win, best looking win in years. 175 yards rushing, 257 passing, only 2 penalties on us, 37-minute time of possession, 7 of 16 on 3rd down. I mean, those are gaudy offensive numbers for this Giants team. That's you looked at that. That's like Mahomes. That's like the Chiefs.
And the best thing is our Daniel Jones is not going to try and get Daboll fired.
I don't think so.
Really, I'm glad. No, that's for sure. I'm glad you brought up the penalties, Mike. I did have that in my notes because, man, that was probably, and don't forget, one of the penalties was the 15-yarder on Slayton's gun motion. So, so aside from that, they had one other penalty for 5 yards. I can't remember even where it was, but that again, as clean a game as they've played in memory, So kudos to it, and kudos to the defense. I don't know if I've talked about the defense enough. You mentioned the sacks and stuff, but after we fell behind 7-0, Seattle did get the ball back again after we punted. After I think our next possession after that, and the defense shut them down. Man, the defense made a number of plays to give our offense a chance to do what they needed to do. And just an all-around great effort that we had the special teams thing. What do we always hear? All 3 phases. We actually had a game, all 3 phases. And
Gillen had a couple good punts too.
Yeah.
Yep. I tell you, I don't know if that's what we're going to come to expect. I somehow doubt it. But I'll tell you one thing, and I like Devin Singletary. I like going out to get him. You guys know I felt that Barkley might have been a little bit of a handcuff for us, albeit him being a superbly talented player. But, man, Tyrone Tracy, first down runs of 6, 8, 5.5, 7 yards. Life is so much easier when you're in 2nd and 4. I mean, the Giants are constantly in 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 11. And they're just giving him the ball on first down. They at least did it 80% of their offensive plays. They ran the ball pretty much between the tackles on first down. And it made life, it's amazing how much better a quarterback can look, right? I think we can put away that Daniel Jones is the worst starting quarterback in the league now. It's ridiculous. You give the guy an offensive line, you move the ball a little bit on the ground for him, he's fine. He's probably gone anyway, but he's fine. You can win with Daniel Jones. I think we can put that to bed.
Now we're continue with the positivity here. I was, again, looking at the box score and stuff, and I was thinking this, and maybe you guys saw this. I did not. When the hell was the last time we had a running back go for 100 yards rushing and a receiver with 100 yards receiving in the same game? Without, that I don't recall. I mean, I'm sure that's been how many times have we done that in the last couple of years? And to your point, Mike, isn't it amazing how as the game is going on, I was thinking the same thing. As Jones is back to pass and he's got a pocket around him and he's about to deliver the ball, is it all of a sudden I had a confidence come over me like he's going to find someone, he's going to deliver a good ball here, and he did over and over. It was, and especially the touchdown pass to Slayton, the one in the far corner. Just awesome, man. Again, like, can the Giants keep it going? Obviously we'll see and all that, but at least for one afternoon, man, it was just great to be better than the other team, send a team packing, their home fans going home, muttering to themselves. It was just great.
Yeah, I think you guys are starting to see a little bit of a nice little offensive nucleus with Neighbors and Tracy and Thomas, and I mean, you've got some pieces now. It's funny how this league just turns on a dime. Like,
does
all of a sudden the Giants look like they are respectable, and I'm not saying they're world beaters, but you have to think that they have a chance to get to 9-8, maybe push for a playoff spot. I mean, their division's not great.
No,
it's not.
And guys, we actually have a tight end on the roster.
Apparently you do. That's
tight end sighting.
So you might see me tonight shifting my eyes quite a bit. So Giancarlo Stanton just homered to give the Yankees a 1-run lead in the game. So I'm a little bit distracted between the two here. Novak's already reveling in the Mets clinching a
got a
victory.
great goose going.
You got I hear. I should hear the ice clinging up against the glass.
Cling.
The little cubes clinging up against the glass.
You don't know what I got in here, but trust me, it is not.
There you
water.
go. But
guys,
I don't know.
Go ahead, Cardone.
Yeah, I was going to mention just the point that Novak just brought up. I was looking around the league too. I watched a lot of games, and you see the Cardinals beating the Niners. You see teams that you thought were not dominant, but like, the Cowboys, had to, they still came away with the win, but they're not a, powerhouse team, barely beating the Steelers. You look around, the Bills losing, to Houston. There's teams. There's a lot of teams that are beatable, man. Like, you just got to hang around. You just got to hang around in this league and get to like November, and just be in the mix. That's all you got to do. That's all the Giants got to do.
Yep.
Just be in the mix.
Yep. Not be dead by Halloween like we normally are.
Yeah,
yep.
Right.
Yep. The last thing I'll mention about that game, because it kind of ties into a pet peeve of mine. When the Giants got up 2 scores in that place, the loudest stadium in the NFL was a fucking morgue.
Yep.
Yeah.
People don't cheer for bad football. That's all there is to it. At the end of the game, with time still on the clock, you could hear "Here we go, Giants" chants in that building.
Yes.
It happens in every stadium. All you people listening who like to get on the Giants and other teams too for poor stadium atmosphere, win the games.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. Win the games.
By the way, I was watching some of the Manning cast on Monday night, and great exchange between Belichick and Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning was talking about the home field advantage, and Belichick goes, "Well, that was great when you used to pipe in the crowd noise." And he goes, "And sometimes it would actually skip." And then someone found a video of the music of it skipping.
Yeah, that can't even tell you how illegal that should be. I mean.
Seattle's been accused of that throughout the years.
Yep.
So another game, another weekend where the Giants play on a at home on primetime, and then the Jets play at home on primetime too. So the Jets host the Bills on Monday night.
Yep.
It is, that double that we saw earlier in the year where neither of the New York teams scored a touchdown in that double. So hopefully that'll change. But apparently Josh Allen is good and ready to go for this game.
You brought that up. I was hoping you were going there because.
Here's what I'm looking at. Malik Neighbors did not play in this last game because he's in concussion protocol. And there's actually some question if he's going to play against the Bengals. We watched Josh Allen get knocked unconscious during the game. He goes into a blue tent and he gets cleared to come back in the very next series. Now, not only is that bad enough, but because he was cleared to go back into that game, do you guys realize that means he doesn't have to enter concussion protocol? So after the game is over, he's good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. If you're named Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, you don't miss time with concussions. If you're Malik Neighbors and you're a rookie, you might.
I didn't know. Apparently, in Buffalo, smelling salts can check whether or not you have a bum ankle. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
But apparently that's the case because he got smelling salts on the sidelines to check if he had a bad ankle.
And the idea that he had a bad ankle to begin with is trash because if you watch them working on him on the
nothing
field,
to do with his ankle.
They're not looking at his lower body.
No. And you said you had to wait a series. He didn't have to wait a series. They turn the ball over and he comes running out of the blue tent.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
I don't know what happens in the blue tent. I think maybe he just signed a waiver in the blue tent. I think that's what happened. They just said, well, you can go back out there. You got to sign this waiver from the NFL.
I was going to say to Scott, like, let's not forget the guy, all of a sudden someone in a minute like, hey, we got the ball. And there's Allen, like you said, coming out of the fucking dressing room like Superman with his cape on. Yeah. Yep. By the way, a little side note. I don't know why I love the word bum. I love the description of a bum knee or a bum ankle. I don't know why.
The name bum was a word that my father would use to describe a player he hated back in the day.
So did my dad.
All the time.
Bum.
Yes.
He's a bum, and no one uses that name. I loved that. Like
that's why we keep it alive. My dad used to say bum all the time too. It was great. Yeah, he always said it was a bum. Everybody was a bum.
Yep. And why no one uses that anymore?
It's like a generational thing.
My grandfather used to use that too, and it would be even players he liked. Like he'd be cheering Willie Randolph on at some point, and then he'd be like, that bum, why is he getting caught stealing?
Now, real quick story. My father every year would pick out a Jet, and my brother and I never knew why. And he would focus on this guy, like zeroed in on this guy, and would call him a bum all year long.
Yeah.
I remember this guy, Ben Bennett, played for the Jets, and he was like, is that bum Bennett? Is he in there?
Yeah.
He was a bum. No idea why, but he was a bum.
I love when my dad used to call bums like just on a team that wasn't even his. Like like Bobby Bonilla. Like my dad wasn't like a Pirate fan or a Met fan. He'd just be like, Bonilla's a bum. Just randomly call out a guy. He's a bum.
He's a rich bum.
God, yeah. Ask the Mets.
He's still getting paid by the Mets.
Still on the payroll.
Yeah.
So refocusing though a little bit more on the Allen situation, guys. Does the league not realize there's a perception problem there? People are watching guys get hit violently on the field, and we see it with Tua. There's a concern with Tua because this is his third or fourth concussion or whatever they're saying. But Josh Allen, we saw him go down and we saw him motionless, and yet he comes right back into the game, and then they don't have any follow up to that. I really don't know how that's allowed.
There is no rhyme or reason as to who goes into what tent and when and why.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. There's no. The whole nation saw his head bouncing off the ground and him going limp immediately. And then he went in there for an ankle injury. Come on.
Yep.
I mean, don't play us for fools.
Nope.
And now we got to play this guy next Monday. He should not be in the game.
Nope.
No, we shouldn't.
Nope.
Knock him around, man. Yeah.
We've said it on here for a long time. The player safety is a smokescreen. It's an excuse for them to put whatever they want to do into the league. They use player safety, and no one can argue. And hey, let's put this stupid kickoff in player safety. Hey, we're super focused on concussions, unless the guy's really good. Like if he's an MVP candidate, he doesn't have to leave the game. It's,
in the playoffs, that blue tent will get cobwebs on it. That no one's going to be in that thing.
Yeah.
I've said this. I know I said this so many times in this pod, and I'm going to say it again. The COVID year was the biggest example of it. The whole league was being ravaged by COVID. The playoffs started. No one got it. Not one player got
one
COVID.
Player.
This league is such a farce. It is such BS, and they play us for fools. We see it. The four of us see it. I don't think anyone else sees it. It's ridiculous.
Did they actually have to move a game to Tuesday during COVID?
Yes.
Neither team could field enough players, or
the Broncos were playing like a practice squad guy from Wake Forest at quarterback. I mean, come on. And in the playoffs, apparently no one gets it.
Nope.
So, Novak, what are you looking for in this game? Anything in particular? New coach?
So I actually am pretty excited about the new coach, Ulbrich, who is, look, he's going to hold these players accountable. He's a little fiery. He's a former player, which I love. He played in the league for 9 years for the 49ers, linebacker. He's got that right mentality. Look, if the Dick can buy into this and can turn it around a little bit, I think he's exactly the type of coach that this team needs. Do I think they're going to win? No, but they tend to play the Bills very well. And I think I've said this before. The Jets play well against a quarterback that takes chances. They're not good against game manager types. I'm optimistic. I don't think they'll win, and we'll get into that into predictions. But I think this will be a very high-scoring game. I think the fans are going to be fired up. The whole fan base wanted Salah out of there. So I think Met Death is going to be fired up. I am pumped for this game. I really can't wait. Between the Mets and the Jets, this is a good time for me. So I'm hoping that this turns out well. So we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty excited.
For those of you not on our group chat, which is everybody listening, like an hour and a half ago, Novak said, "My teams are all losers," and that is who they are.
That's just
and I have to deal with that. Now this was with the Mets had 2 on, down 1-0, 2 on in the 6th.
Nobody out.
Nobody out.
I know, and I hate myself for that. That's who I am. It's annoying.
Isn't it amazing though when it's not your team, you're just like, dude, they're gonna score. Don't relax. You know, I'm the same way. The Yankees have a guy on, like trying to push across a run. I'm like, come on, God damn it, do something.
I was at a bar with one of our fans, Chris Coons, and watching the first inning, and I'm like losing my mind. He goes, "It's the first inning. Would you stop?"
Is Coons a Mets fan?
The Mets are gonna be fine.
No, he's a Yankee fan. But I was like,
good man.
Yeah, I was screaming about the Mets, like, they're gonna lose. Blah, blah. Yeah,
we'll have some questions from Coons coming up, but
yep.
All right.
I actually shouldn't speak to that because I was watching the text go back and forth. Yankees stink, Mets stink. They're both in 1-run games, and I'm thinking, I think I've forgotten about the intensity of playoff baseball right now. Like, because it's exactly what Cardone just said is exactly what I was doing. I looked at the text from Novak and I'm like, oh my God. So I go on ESPN.com. I'm like, what's the score? I'm like, it's 1-0 in the 6th. I was expecting to see 7-2 or something in the bottom of the 8th.
It's like we all can watch playoff football if your team's not in it. I can't watch playoff baseball if my team's not in it for shit. I could care less about the Padres and the Dodgers or the Tigers and the Guardians. Who cares?
Yeah.
But if your team's in it, man, you're hanging on every pitch.
It is tough. You're right. It's one of those things where I still think playoff hockey is the best spectator sport
100%.
In terms of energy and your angst level and everything else.
Game 7 in hockey is the best.
I could watch Avalanche Kraken for double overtime.
Yeah.
2 in the morning. I'm up watching the Avalanche.
So I'll turn it over to Mikey now. Let's do predictions.
All right, predictions, man. So Novak took a 0 ball last week.
Man,
however, that's how far ahead he was. He still is the leader. He incorrectly predicted the Giants loss to Seattle, which we all did, and he picked the Jets to beat Minnesota in London. So this week, Novak, you will lead off again, and whichever game you want to go for.
I'll go Jets-Bills first. I think the Jets are going to come in with Cardone's favorite word, with fervor.
Yes.
I think they're going to get off to a hot start, but I think Josh Allen's just too good. I mean, I think he's the best quarterback in the league, even better than Mahomes, I think. Only because Mahomes has a lot surrounding him. He's got a great coach. I love watching Josh Allen play. So I think the Bills are going to rise up here. I like the Bills 31-21 against the Jets. In a heartbreaking game for me. And honestly, if the Mets are winning, I could give a fuck about the Jets. So the Giants game. I have a hard time picking the Giants in this game, because if the Bengals had beaten the Ravens, I know we say this every week, I would have gone Giants. But because they lost, I feel like the Bengals have their back against the wall. And I think they're going to come out. They have to win this game. The Giants can actually afford to lose. Bengals cannot. I like the Bengals here 24-23.
Right now, I have surprisingly moved into second place at 6-4. So I'll go next. You said 24-23?
Yep.
Novak? All right. So I'll do the Giants first. The Giants game, this is the show me game for me. I'm not ready to pick them to win a game like this. But this is the show me game. So, if they come out and look like they did against Seattle, win, lose, or draw, I might pick the Giants more in the future as we go forward. But I'm going to pick the Bengals to win this. I do think it's going to be very close. But I'm going to take the Bengals to win this game. I'm going to say 21-16. And then the Jets in Buffalo. So I agree with everything Novak said. I love Josh Allen. The Bills suddenly have their backs up against the wall a little bit as far as their expectations and stuff like that. However, there is one thing in the NFL that just happens that teams with that first game with the interim coach thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is a magical thing in the NFL sometimes. So I'm going to lean on that. I'm going to lean on that this week. I'm going to take the Jets to upset Buffalo and MetDeath 28-25. All right, so Cardone is next at 5-5. Actually, Cardone and Scott are now tied at 5-5. But Scott was in last to start with, so he'll stay in last. My reasoning.
I took zeros last week. I don't know our teams at all, so I don't know what direction to go in. I'll start with the I'll start with the Jet game first. I find myself agreeing with Novak the last couple weeks. In this. I like what you pointed out, Mike, in terms of the interim coach, because that does seem to, I don't know, just inject some juice into a team for some reason. But I feel just what Novak said. I just see Josh Allen. The Bills are coming off 2 losses in a row. So I'm kind of looking at that. I'm like, are they going to lose 3 in a row? I don't see it. I just see Josh Allen kind of taking over with a late drive late in the game, pulling this one out. I got Buffalo 26-20. And then, the same thing, Mike. That's amazing. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, am I ready to just jump on the Giant wagon? I would love to see them back up the Seattle game with a win against Cincinnati. But, oh man, the show me game for this, Mike. This is can they win in prime time? Can they win in prime time at home? And I still don't feel confident that they will. I just think Cincinnati absolutely. You talk about desperation. Whatever's left of their season has to be Sunday night. I just feel like it's bad timing. I don't like the primetime game. I don't like getting a desperate Cincinnati Bengal team coming in. We know this is a good team. It's going to be a tough game. I got Cincinnati 24-20. I hate to say it, but need to Giants again. I think we all said the same thing. Like I won't pick them until the Giants win. To win a game, they did that. But now it's like, well, now they got to win in prime time. I'll just keep doing that until keep proving me wrong. That's fine.
Keep finding a way until
I don't mind being wrong here. But keep proving me wrong. I'm okay with that.
The only bummer to me about the Giants win was that they had a chance at 30 points and they took a knee on the conversion after the last touchdown. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen a 30. That's Scotty.
So I don't know if it was because he was concussed or not, but at the end of that Bills-Texans game, the Bills, for some reason, at their own 1 yard line or 2 yard line, decided to throw 3 times from their end zone, ended up punting back to Houston, and then gave them an inexplicable win. Terrible clock management by McDermott. And it's one of those things where I don't see the Bills losing 3 in a row, but I also like the whole concept of that interim coach, how they give the team a bump. The other thing is, too, Novak brought it up earlier, the Jets usually have the Bills number lately. And so this is an interesting game for me. Rodgers looked completely disinterested to me the last 2 games. Does this give him some life, and does he play better because of it? They haven't brought Devontae Adams in yet. They haven't done anything with Riddick. And with that being said, I do think that the Bills win. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Allen, because I do think he was concussed. So I don't know how well he's going to play. But I am going with the Bills in a game where the score is probably going to be less indicative of the play, how close this game is than what it is. I think the Bills win 27-13. And in the Giants game, guys, I so wanted to play them against I wanted to pick them against the Seahawks last week. I really did. And the more I kept thinking about them going out to Seattle, not having Neighbors, not having Singletary, that they were going to get just trounced. And in this game, I'm overconfident, and I really feel scared because I'm overconfident. I don't think they're going to blow out the Bengals. The Bengals, again, have none of their games have been decided by more than a touchdown. And I don't think this one will either. I think the Giants hold on and win this game. Maybe the Bengals score a touchdown late and try to go for 2 and don't get it. Giants win 24-23.
Love the breakdown.
Novak and Scott have 24-23 with opposite teams winning in that game. So,
really? I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So it looks like, and Cardone has 24-20. So if the Giants can add a field goal of that, we've got 24-23. It seems to be a pretty good prediction there.
So don't know if you guys had anything around the league. I think I brought up everything with the Josh Allen concussion and the 15-yard penalties. I will mention this. It's not around the league, but it's something that was near and dear to my heart because I used to emulate this guy when I used to pitch when I was a kid. But Louis Tiant passed away this week.
Yeah.
Old Red Sox. Was a Yankee for a bit.
Yeah. He had that twirling, spinning motion, right?
I think he set the tone for Fernando looking up to the sky, and Nestor Cortez now that does the move.
Too many of these players that we from our childhood growing up are starting to leave us, right? So it's just, I don't know, it's kind of sad. Yeah, well, I saw that one too, Scott. It's just every name that we hear now, regardless of the sport. I think we're all sports fans of all these different professional sports, and it's just kind of sad here. These names are just dropping left and right. Feels like.
Yeah, I was gonna save this for when Scott says anything else, but since we went here, I'm gonna say rest in peace to one of my all-time great favorite Jets, Abdul Salam.
Abdul Salam passed away
today. Part of the sack exchange. He was probably back then, other than Klecko, my favorite player. I loved Abdul Salam. He was great against the run, part of that great Jet team back in the early 80s. And he passed today. Came into the league as Larry Falk and changed his name to Abdul Salam. But
all right,
a great Jet.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember who Bobby Moore became?
Yes, that is Rashawn. That is oh my God, Ahmad Rashad.
Yeah.
Ahmad Rashad.
Yeah.
I used to love Ahmad Rashad. I never liked the Vikings, but I always thought Ahmad Rashad was cool.
He was good as a basketball announcer. I thought he was good.
Yeah, he was. He was an announcer for a while, and then he just sort of disappeared. I think after the OJ thing, for some reason, you never saw Ahmad Rashad again.
That's right.
Yeah,
there's a connection there, wasn't there?
Do you guys remember World Be Free?
Yeah, World Be Free.
Yes.
Cleveland Cavalier. Yeah. What was his real name? I'm trying to remember. Wasn't it?
It was Lloyd something. What was it? Lloyd?
I don't know.
Lloyd Wright?
Lloyd.
It was Lloyd something.
World Be Free.
Remember, didn't Ron Artest become World Meta Peace?
World
Meta Peace, yeah. Meta, was it World Meta or Meta World?
World Peace.
I think it was Meta World Peace. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
No.
You guys got anything else from
Great St.
around
John's
the league?
player.
I don't know, man. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
The Giants win. This makes everything. I didn't just sit around angry the rest of the day and watch the rest of the games. Of course, it was a 4:00 game, so there wasn't games after that. But yeah,
I mentioned the Cowboys. I mean, I was pissed that the Cowboys won, but I wasn't as pissed. I guess. I mean, it still was because it was a 4th down play, and somehow they still have to scrap that game out against Pittsburgh. I mean, Dak has. I love these games where a quarterback can have 3 turnovers and they still win the game on the road in prime time against a Pittsburgh team. It's like like Prescott looked like he was throwing the ball all over the place. He had a turnover or a fumble rather. In addition, somehow Dallas still scraps out the win.
And I'll say this about that game. I'm watching the Yankee games on TBS, and Bob Costas is just driving me up a wall with his yammering. And Collinsworth is reaching that point to me too. He's calling that game and he's telling us that Justin Fields is doing things that we're not seeing him do. Justin Fields, they're talking about, what an incredible runner he is. Well, Jesus Christ, Justin Fields really did not elevate the Steelers during that game, and in fact helped cost them the game. And like you said, Dak is causing turnover, or he's making turnovers and still winning the game. Why? Because Fields couldn't capitalize on any of those turnovers and turn them into anything really.
No.
Fields to me was, I would replace him with Russell Wilson tomorrow if Wilson's healthy.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, this is under Mike Tomlin. This is Justin Fields' peak. This is the best he can do. Yep. This is it. It's the same player he was with the Bears. To Scott's point, he has a couple of highlight reel runs a game, but he doesn't elevate his team. He doesn't produce points. He doesn't produce lengthy drives. He just does nothing. He's just a turd out there, man. He's a coach killer, absolutely a coach killer. And, somehow Tomlin's got 3 wins out of him, but this is the ceiling. This is who the Steelers are. And, I can't imagine Russell Wilson not being able to produce more than this.
Can you imagine your number 1 receiver in a game getting 2 catches like George Pickens did? And that's happening every game. Like that, you're not getting consistent production out of your core players.
Now, a lot of people thought Fields would get to the Steelers and we'd really see, the Bears have been holding him back. It's the exact same play, different uniform. It's nothing different.
So guys, when we were younger, we used to talk about great aunts, especially for, people our age. We'd hear a Mildred or a Blanche or a Betty comes to mind. And as they come in for a hug, you'd get a whiff of mothballs. But with Rugged Uncle, the gold standard for men's styling butter, your Rugged Uncle smells fantastic. He wears leather, rides a Harley without a helmet, plays blackjack in a smoking jacket in Monte Carlo. He hunts with a bow and arrow. And above all, he has magnificent hair. Rugged Uncle is 100% butter and oil based, and that's exactly what your hair and scalp needs to be replenished. Water shouldn't be in your hairstyling product at all, and especially not the first product. Have healthy hair, smell great, be Rugged Uncle. So go to ruggeduncle.com and order today. Use code AngryFans to get a 20% discount. We had a lot of people order Rugged Uncle, and the reviews have been very favorable.
Keep it going. Yeah, if anyone listening, get some Rugged Uncle. You'll
we have
enjoy
listeners.
it.
We have listeners with good heads of hair. I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either. I know that Novak bought that line, didn't he? He wants to be the Rugged Uncle. He wants to go be that guy with the smoking jacket in Monte Carlo, doesn't he?
Yeah, I got to get away from my childish ways. I got to be Rugged Uncle. I really do.
No, man, it's the styling hair product for real men. So yep. I aspire to be a real man. So that's why I'm using Rugged Uncle. Yeah,
that's right.
There you go.
So,
if anyone listening, don't be like us. Get Rugged Uncle and don't be
a real man.
Yeah, be a real man.
Be a real
Don't
man.
be a child like we are. Yeah.
Exactly.
When Mike said Novak has to be rugged uncle, I got to mind a mental picture. What was that movie, Wild Hogs or whatever, with Tim Allen and all the guys that were driving the Harleys around the country or whatever? I just get a picture of Novak like hanging out with those guys on the weekend driving a Harley. Was it Wild Hogs? What was it?
I don't know the movie, but how you picture me riding with guys with Harleys, I have no idea.
Because you want to be a rugged uncle.
Anti-me as I can get.
We're trying to get you there.
Yeah, it's gonna take a lot. Trust me.
And we did. I don't want to oversell this product, but we did get word from the creator and founder and owner of the company himself, who said several of the ingredients do promote hair growth. Now, this is not a hair growth product. I don't want anyone thinking that that's the case. However, as it strengthens and heals and massages and lotions up your scalp, you never know.
We should mention that. Last week, before we came on the podcast, we had a great talk with the owner of Rugged Uncle, and it was fantastic. I learned more about the different variants of beef tallow than I ever cared to, but it was his passion for the craft.
Oh yeah,
is what came through.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, Cardone, since you have to go to 1A on pet peeves, let's hear your pet peeve first.
Yeah, it's having just come from watching, the Giants go up to the unfriendly confines of whatever the Seattle field. I don't even know the name of the stadium up there anymore. But
it's not Quest anymore.
It's not Quest, right? What is? I don't know. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. But maybe it's I don't know, Nirvana Stadium or something like that. I don't know what the hell it is. But
Lumen.
Lumen Field. That's
yeah.
Okay, Lumen Field. I don't know why that fucking 12th man gimmick, as I like to call it, is just bullshit. I can't stand the fact that they've retired the jersey number 12. I think it's idiotic. I think it's childlike. It's like Pee Wee football that you have that they use the decibel meter throughout the entire game. It's just bullshit. It could be 2nd and 1, and these people are screaming their heads off. I kept yelling. I'm like, will you sit the fuck down and shut up? It's a total gimmick. They claim to be the loudest stadium. Maybe they are. Who really cares? I don't know. But it just, coming fresh off of watching a 60-minute game with that Seattle 12th man, it's just, it's childish. I can't stand it. It's one of the stupid gimmicks around the NFL, and it's always just irked me that the jersey number is retired in that stadium. They even have the jersey flying, or the flag number 12 flying at the top of the stadium, and having to sit there and listen. And I kept barking. I'm like, and if you guys remember, Seattle, well, we had the infamous game in 2005, which we lost a crucial game. We had 11 false starts in that game. I think wasn't it like 11 guys? Yep. I think that was the exact number. Well, guess what? We had fucking 0 on Sunday, and Seattle went off sides. I think was it how many times, Mike? Was it?
I think 5. It was at least 4, but I
counted
5.
At least 3. Okay, so like 4. Yep. And I was every time Seattle was moving, I'm like, yeah, like barking that with the stupid fans, yelling, always trying to get the obviously the visiting team to jump off sides. Well, they didn't get one out of us. So kudos to the Giants again for having just playing a clean game. But pet peeve is that stupid 12th man gimmick that they got going in that Seattle home field. It's bullshit.
So I had to laugh because Steph and I were watching the Texas A&M game on Saturday, and they kept talking about the 12th man. And I said, I said, well, Steph, I said, the 12th man here, I think, is the original 12th man. I said, and the Seattle Seahawks have stolen that in the NFL.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she goes, who cares about football in Seattle? I thought to myself, exactly.
12 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great one, Cardone. I saw the guy walking around outside the stadium when they were doing like the opening shots with the 12 jersey on that said fans on the back.
Oh,
Did you happen to catch that? I immediately was like, look at this.
Thank God
guy
I missed that.
With the fans jersey.
Thank goodness I missed that one.
I did love this part. So before the game, during that week, Joel McHale had made a comment about, why do we have to always show the fish being thrown at the Pikes Market for every Seattle game? And so at one point they're showing a bay a picture, and the announcer goes, "Joel McHale, we are not going to show the fish being thrown today." I actually thought that was pretty good. Of course, because it was the 6 CBS crew, I don't know how many people actually saw the game, but.
Yeah, they took that out. I guarantee you they had it. And then they said, this guy called us out. Like, don't use it. They had it.
They probably did.
Every Seattle home game since I've been alive, they show the guy throwing the fish.
Always.
Every time.
Yeah.
Apparently I can't make fun of gimmicks, though, because the Mets in their game 1 were showing Grimace taking the 7 line to the game, so...
I saw Grimace get on the subway and everyone's like patting him on the back. And I'm surprised if he actually took the subway, someone's gonna be stabbing him with a knife.
Where was Mrs. Met? I got to think for her. Where was she around? I think,
She might have been behind the bleachers with Grimace.
Yeah.
So we're going to the bottom of the 9th, and we're looking at Costas talking to Ron Darling in the studio right now. So
Ron Darling. It's a shit.
So Novak, pet peeve?
Yeah, so I'm going to follow Cardone here. Talk about something like a fan base. So look, my pet peeve is a fan base, and I'm going to start with I don't think there's any debate on this. The best fan base in all sports is New York. We've got 8 sports teams, and I say we because I'm a New York fan. 8 teams that we support, passionate, knowledgeable, the whole thing. So there's New York and everybody else. But after that, I would go down to the next level. And whether or not you like these teams and whatever, you have to respect the fan bases of Boston and Chicago. They got 4 sports teams, passionate fans, great atmospheres, stadiums, the whole thing. Then the next level down for 4 sport teams, you got Detroit, Dallas, and Denver. They're okay. They're not great. And then you've got those frauds down in Atlanta and Los Angeles, arrive late, leave early, for just awful sports towns. Atlanta's the worst, by the way. And then for a 4 sports town, there's a whole nother category that I would say is my pet peeve, and that's the douchiest sports town in all of the United States, and that's Douchadelphia. I am so sick of Douchadelphia. And it's everything from that their statue in that town is of a fake sports person. It's not even real. They have lived off of this throwing snowballs at Santa Claus like 70 years ago. No one cares. You're not that tough. You're not that cool. Right? And then at the Met game, the Met fans went to the Philly, the douchey game, and they were getting harassed for wearing Mets jerseys. Stop it. You're not that tough. And then the douchies have like Castellanos and Harper and Brandon Marsh and Schwarber. Like, you play there and you have to have long hair and greasy hair and beards and necklaces and your shirt's open. Stop it. You're not that cool. No one cares about you. You've won 17 championships. New York's won 54. You're the city of little brotherly love. You cannot compare. So my pet peeve is Douchadelphia. I can't take them anymore. And you know what? The Mets knocked you out. So you are done. So my pet peeve is Philadelphia, Douchadelphia. I hate them. I hate all sports in that town. Done with them.
I will say this as a New York fan. I don't like, certain cities, but Philadelphia and their fans have to be the worst out of anyone that I've ever encountered in all sports. Even Sixer fans who are the most bandwagon fans possible, because none of them existed since, Dr. J was playing until like 5 years ago. Everyone, they're all just fake. They're asses. They eat horse shit when they win. They're terrible fans. They have to grease poles up in this city when they win.
There was a jail in Veteran Stadium. Supposedly.
Yeah,
I mean,
there was a prison.
Give me a break. Like, lighten up. You're not that cool.
You're not that cool. I love it. I think it's stadium full of Fonzies.
We brought it up before, though. How great is it that city worships a fake person?
It is the
fictional character.
Fictional Rocky is this.
Can you imagine if, like, in the middle of New York City, you had Batman, and that was the guy you worshipped? It was like everyone wants to see the Batman statue. You gotta go see the Batman statue.
I'd be like, back in the Bad News Bears, there's a statue of like Buttermaker in
Totally.
Right? He took him to a championship.
He did. Chico's bail bonds.
cheap.
The funniest thing is,
Let's have a statue of Buttermaker.
I'll see
Holding a can of Schlitz or Schlitz, whatever the hell he was drinking.
I'll see Kelly in things nowadays, and the dude hasn't grown since he was a little leaguer.
Still got the same face.
Mikey, pet peeve?
Yeah, I got a pet peeve, believe it or not, because like I said, the Giants game's on at 4 and they win. And, I don't even care about the late game. I go to bed early. I mean, pretty good week. So, but I did find something that pissed me off. I had to be off the field this week. Pretty happy with the on the field things, but I did a little bit of traveling this week. So I had to stop for gas a couple times, and I never realized how
Yanks win, by the way.
Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Didn't want to interrupt you. Yanks won.
No, it's worth it.
Right. Good.
Yeah, I didn't realize how quick and easy it is to get annoyed at the gas station without even going inside. Like, you didn't have to go inside the gas station to get annoyed. So, what happens? You go up to the pump, like half the pumps have the little bags over the handles, right? You're like, yeah, I got to find one. And there's like a line, and the guy in the front, like, he gets out and goes into the store and leaves his car there. Like, what kind of psychopath what does that? Like, I wanted to say something, but I was so flabbergasted. I'm like, what are you, like, I saw him get out of the car. I'm like, what's he doing? What's this guy doing? He's going into the store. So I had to loop around. This big truck. I had to loop around and find another spot that didn't have the bag on the handle. You get to the pump, right? And you got to take an SAT to get gas out of the fucking pump. They're like, are you a rewards club member? No. Do you want to be? No. Loading. Would you like a car wash? No. I want gas. Give me gas out of the thing. Then like as you're pumping, like 8 times out of 10, the pump is really slow. Like the numbers just kind of roll like an alarm clock. Like, it's just like, oh my God, do I go to another pump now? This one, there's something wrong.
I can't get the little lever to stick, so I got to hold the, like, I always do like these premature ejaculation kind of pumps in the beginning that I can't really, right? I get those.
That little thing, half the time it's broken, half the time it doesn't work. Now you got to stand there, so, and then like, would you like a receipt? So even when you're done, there's still like these questions you have to answer to get out of there. Like, would you like a receipt? Like, no. Okay, I'm done, right? Everything good? Then, but like a lot of travel was for work this week, so I needed receipts. Would you like a receipt? Yes. Calculating. Please see cashier. I'm like, no.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that.
I'm not going to see the cashier. Fuck it. I don't have a receipt for this. No, I don't want 2 hot dogs and a Red Bull. I don't care if I can pay here. Like, no, just be done with it. Give me the gas. Like, I miss self-serve or full-serve gas stations. Those guys used to come out, they wash your window, you just stay in the car. That's it's been a while, but yeah. So I got really annoyed at a couple gas stations this week. So yeah, pumping gas is my pet peeve for the week.
There's
you
only
move
one
to Jersey.
I was about to say there's only one state left in the country that is
no
full service.
Oregon too.
No, they moved away from that. I heard.
Oh, have they?
Because it was New Jersey and Oregon. I think New Jersey's the only one left.
Hold on to that, Jersey. Hold on. You don't want to get it. People in New Jersey who've never had to get out and deal with the SAT to get gas. Hold on to that. Hold on to it.
Little known fact, Cardone, I worked at the Lincroft Exxon for 3 years.
Is that right?
Yes,
I used to go fill up my moped there.
I probably filled it up for you. You don't even remember.
Who knows? No, it used to cost me
like oil changes.
Oh, it would cost me like 88 cents to fill up my tank. I used to get like 65 miles out to a tank on that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a Pook?
A Pook, I did. I had a Pook Maxi Lux.
Yeah, there you
go. 1.5 horsepower or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So my pet peeve this week, we watched the Thursday game between the Falcons and the Buccaneers, and we kept hearing about the grit of the Falcons and of Kirk Cousins. And I want to tell you how the grit part gets influenced by the officiating of the NFL. So there's the Tampa Bay had the ball in Atlanta territory. They're trying to run the clock out with, under 2 minutes to play. They do a simple run up the middle in which the running back gets their face mask grab, and there's a flag on the play. However, that flag is for offensive holding on a play that's going nowhere, on an offensive lineman that really didn't hold, and they don't catch the face mask. So this moves the guys back, and they can't get out of where they could get. Well, they couldn't get back into field goal range, so they have to punt. So they punt the ball back to Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, and he drives down and gets them a tying field goal, and then they go into overtime. They win the coin toss, and in overtime they get the ball, and they score a long touchdown pass to win the game. And all we hear about is how gritty Kirk Cousins is and the Falcons are. And guys, that whole sequence is set up because some official decided to throw his flag on an inconsequential play that would have been a loss for the Falcons. We wouldn't have talked about Kirk Cousins at all. We wouldn't have talked about the grit of the Falcons. We've been talking about Baker Mayfield and the Bucks, and we would have been saying that the Falcons are underperforming again on Arthur Blank night or whatever it was. And this is the kind of shit that happens every game. It happens under the radar because there are these calls that impact the game, influence the game, and in the end of the day, no one talks about it from a national standpoint. It's probably guys like us and teams that are, people that are podcasting for teams individually that are talking about it. But it's out of control. Like we were talking earlier about the defensive, illegal contact and defensive holding penalties. These penalties extend drives and they artificially jack up the score of a game where a defense makes a great play to stop a team, and someone on the other side of the field brushes up against the receiver, and that a flag comes out for that. So this thing with the grit and the Falcons, it absolutely does not even get talked about if that game is officiated correctly, and someone's not throwing a flag on a 2nd and 10 run right up the fucking middle that's going to lead to a field goal for Tampa Bay that Atlanta is then going to have to come down and or they're going to have to score a touchdown rather than kick a field goal to tie. They're going to have to score a touchdown to win, which they wouldn't have had enough time to do. And this narrative that exists, we see it with Mahomes all the time. It's always like, Patrick Mahomes comes back again. Well, he comes back because you allowed him to when you called that pass interference on the Bengals or whatever it is. This whole narrative that drives the star people is artificially fueled so many times by the officials. And, I hate harping on the officials, but it's in our face. It happens week after week, and we just sit there and take it.
Yeah. Yep. I remember back in the day, I used to get really mad about this, like back before ESPN, like the late 70s, early 80s. And the Giants would lose a game and I'd read the article. I'd be like, oh, there's no mention in there of, they lost 2 offensive linemen in the first quarter, or there's no mention in there of that horrible pass interference call that would have changed the outcome in the game. It's results based. But I understood. I'm like, look, they can't just go into all that about every game. But they can now. They've got 24/7, 365 NFL coverage. And what do? They talk about the same results-based shit all the time, ad nauseum. They repeat themselves over and over. Yep. And all that matters, and this is true as far as the standings go and the leagues go and all that, but all that matters is who won or lost the game. And the people who won are elevated, and the people who lose are put in the back for a week. But they have nothing but time to dig into these games and show people what's happening in the games, and they don't. And you can't tell me that the reason that coaches, players, and even media don't talk about the officials more, it's more than fines. It's got to be more than fines. Because I know if I were a coach in this league, I would take the fines to go off on an official sometimes. I mean, wouldn't it be interesting if they started covering officiating in the media, if during this 24/7, 365 football news cycle that they have, wouldn't it be like really interesting if they had a half-hour show or just a segment on a show where they said, let's go around the league and look at the officiating this week. They have nothing but time to do it. Like I said, they're on all the time. They all just regurgitate the same shit for every day after day after day after day.
And on top of the fact that on every broadcast, I think we mentioned it, Scott, you might have mentioned it early in our show today. They have the guest referee or official on the
Gene
broadcast.
Steratore was the Giants
Gene Steratore,
one.
whatever. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, he's exonerating the officials from making the bad call, or he's agreeing with them. One of the two. And so that's in there solely to make the listener and viewer think that the official's job is A, either really hard, or B, they're making the right call. They're not on there to question them. It happens very rarely. It does once in a blue moon, but very rarely do they say the official is wrong here. They say how hard their job is. So don't tell me that they're in there for any other reason than that.
Yep. I mean, how often do you see it just in a micro where, there'll be a play down the field, the defender will break up a pass. The first thing the announcers say is great play. Great play by that defender. And then it comes back, oh, they threw a flag on it. Oh, well, look at here. He got into him here. And it's like, no, it was a good play. You were completely right the first time. And then later in the game, these calls that were questionable throughout the game, they become the miscues. So later when they put up the Giants miscues, even miscues.
But Mike, my favorite on that is when the announcer says, "Oh, that's a great play by a defensive back," and they show the replay, and you see his hand on the guy's hip. It's barely touching the hip, and he's like, "Oh, right there, he touches there it is. That's going to get called every time.
That's going to be called every time. Yeah.
Except it's not, because it's not called against the Chiefs. It's not called against certain teams.
It's going to be called every time.
I just love the fact that around in all everyone's caught on to what's going on with the Kansas City Chiefs. Right? It just everyone knows, everyone sees it. There's all kinds of parodies with what's going on with Kansas City. At least people are aware of it and know it instead of denying it.
Agreed. Maybe it'll backfire. Maybe.
So we do have a few questions this week. Chris Coons, who Novak was watching the early part of the Jets game with, asks, what will be our new drinking game now that Saleh's canned? I really don't know what this is. I mean, maybe when we're watching Jet games, it'll be the number of times we see, Rodgers giving the look, which is that.
Roger.
I mean, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should just raise our glasses and say "Dick."
Yeah.
In a sports bar full of men, that would be good.
Yeah,
that'd be
that
great.
Doesn't sound good. I don't like that game. If we're going to do it with the Jets coach, Novak, you're going to have to teach me to pronounce that. That is a word salad for me. That is a mouthful. I can't.
Ulbrich?
Ulbrich. Okay.
By the way,
I guarantee Ulbrich will be on hardly at all.
It'll be interesting. I can't wait.
I have our new guy, and I started noticing it this week. I really watched a lot of the. Somehow I caught a pretty good chunk of the Houston. By the way, the Houston Texans were wearing a fucking Arena League football uniform. Right, the Big H or whatever they were calling themselves. Yeah. Our new Salah is D'Amico Ryans.
I noticed that too.
It is D'Amico. So now it's going to have just be like, D'Amico. I'm telling you, watch a Houston Texan game and he is the new Salah. Or maybe he's been Salah all along, but we just haven't noticed it because it is now. I'm telling you guys, write it down. Think about it right now. So Kuntz, that's our guy. It's D'Amico Ryans. Yeah, it is. There's no doubt in my mind. He's the new guy.
That's good because Ulbrich does not roll off the tongue like Salah.
It doesn't.
No, it does not. It's a little sad. It's a little sad that we've lost that game, to be honest.
Yeah. Extended Ulbrich. I got to say.
I wouldn't be able to say that. Bearded Ulbrich.
So actually, he's got a beard though, doesn't he?
Yeah, a good-looking one. It probably took him a while to grow it.
What if he uses rugged uncle?
He should. He is a rugged uncle-looking type of guy.
He is.
So Coons also asks, who should the Jets look at as head coach, both with Rodgers there and also without Rodgers? And people have to remember, how long is Rodgers going to be a Jet? Probably after this year or maybe another year. That's it.
I think if they change coaches, he'll be done after this year. I mean, if they decide that Ulbrich is not the long-term solution and they want to fire Hackett, Rodgers will be like, I'm out. I'm done. I mean, I came here under the premise that Nathaniel Hackett was going to be my offensive coordinator, and if that's the case, I think he's gone. I think Woody Johnson is tired of losing, as is his whole fan base. Look out for Mike Vrabel, is what I would say.
Yeah,
If
Mike
if
Vrabel.
if Ulbrich doesn't get it done, look out for Mike Vrabel to be the next coach of the Jets.
No,
that
Bill Belichick.
Vrabel's a rugged uncle guy.
He definitely is that.
Oh yeah, he is.
Absolutely.
He's a man.
Absolutely, he is.
So my buddy Mike Harrison, he asks, should Tracy start over Singletary, even if Singletary's healthy? And I would say this, Tracy had a great game. He's a rookie. He stepped right in. I think people should not discount that Singletary's had a couple good games too. His last game before he got injured was not great, but I think where you work Tracy in is Singletary gets first and second down. Tracy comes in for third down because he's a pass catching back, and that's what I would do. But again, if Singletary is not completely healed, start Tracy. Have Singletary work himself back in. Next couple of weeks slowly.
This is a nice problem to have. Knowing the game that Tracy had and running the way he did, I have all the faith and confidence in the world of this guy. There's certainly no step down from Singletary. I mean, Tracy may end up being the number one back by the end of the year if he keeps running like that. So it's nice to have that 1-2 punch. Eric Gray, worked himself down the depth chart with, he's cost us a couple fumbles. Gray fumbled the kickoff against Cleveland, which immediately turned it to 7 points. And he even though we think he didn't, he broke the plane. Nonetheless, it goes in the books as a fumble. So he's working his way in the opposite direction. And Tyrone Tracy I don't want to say came out of nowhere, because we saw some signs in preseason that this guy certainly could was an effective runner. But it's a nice problem to have. We have a couple guys in the backfield there. I certainly, I hate to say it, but not that I was thinking about this at all, but making up for the loss of, Saquon Barkley right now, if our running game and our offensive line can do this, then I don't care who's running the ball back there. I really don't. I don't care, really. Just get the yards when they're there. The offensive lines did their job. If they can continue, it's amazing. The pass blocking has really been proved, and now the run blocking at least for one Sunday was just awesome. So keep it going.
Yeah, I would say, man, you stay on the horse you're riding, because you mentioned Barkley there, and by no means, and I know you didn't mean this either, and I don't mean this either, that Tyrone Tracy is a better running back than Saquon Barkley. But even in Barkley's heyday, Barkley's never been a drive extending back. He's never been 7 yards on first down. He's a 3.31 75. He's that kind of guy when he was at the peak of his game. So this game against Seattle, I do think, I mentioned it earlier, but I do think that is the number one contributor to this game. Like I said, for a moment, sitting on the edge of a Grey Goose game, was that Tyrone Tracy is getting us 5+ yards on first down by running between the tackles. If you can do that in the NFL, you can win. And Singletary, yes, I mean, he had some moments too, but we have had these struggles on first and second down that we did not have this Sunday with Tracy in there. Was it play calling? Did Dable change something? Did the offensive line just figure something out? I don't know. But if what's his name if Singletary's healthy, then start him. I don't think he should lose his job because he had a groin injury. But if we go 2 drives in and we're in 2nd and 9, you got to go back to Tracy.
Well, what's amazing too, guys, don't forget, we had 26 yards on 24 carries the game against Dallas.
Yeah.
The last time we took the field. And so for the Giants to go 34 carries, 175 yards, 5.1 yards a carry is incredible in 1 week. So how does that's where the NFL just doesn't make sense. I mean, it's the same. Yeah. Right. It just, I mean, obviously you're facing a different defense and all that, but it just doesn't make sense how Dallas was able to just absolutely annihilate our running game. And then, a week later we're running all over Seattle. It doesn't make sense.
That is what you just said. There is the number one reason analytics does not work in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, and it dovetails into Mike's other question, and he asks, he has 2 other questions, but this is the first one. Are we starting to gel, or is it a mirage? And I really don't know, because our 2 wins are against Cleveland and Seattle. So against Cleveland, Cleveland's a good defense. We beat them, but guys, Deshaun Watson is just playing like crap. And then you look at Seattle, and Seattle's 3 wins, I think, are against New England, Miami, and the other team is not great either. So they have 3 wins against teams that aren't great, and they start out 3-0. Now they've lost 2 in a row. So do the Giants just catch a bad team at a good time, or are the Giants really starting to gel? And I think we're going to see that against the Bengals, because I think the Bengals are a good team who've gotten off to a terrible start. I think Joe Burrow's a good quarterback. And I think this week, like Mike said, it determines our trajectory. Do we go this way at 3-3 and above, or do we stay at 2-4 and then we're constantly fighting the rest of the year to gain ground?
Yeah, their other win was week 1 against rookie Bo Nix and at
Denver.
home against Denver. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, and I think we have to wait till Sunday night for the answer, because contrary, kind of to tag on to Scott's pet peeve again, kind of contrary to what most people believe, you can play really well and lose in this league. So, just because the Giants lose to Cincinnati doesn't mean they're not finding something, they're not gelling. It means they got beat by a team that played better that night. So don't base it on the win or the loss so much as, do they look as sharp as they looked against Seattle? Do they limit penalties? Are they able to get yards on first down? We can have all those things happen and lose 28-27 in a game, in any game in the NFL, really. So, yeah, I think we'll find out Sunday. We'll probably know by halftime on Sunday what's happening.
I need more than 1 win to be considered the Giants gelling. So put a few games like that together, and before I'm going to give them that label. So that's more of a wait and see.
And then he asks about the Jets, and I think you touched upon this earlier, but should Salah have gone with Tyrod when the Dick hurt his ankle? And by the way, what I love about this question is we now have listeners referring to Rodgers as the Dick.
All right.
It's working. It's going to get there. Legs. Sooner or later, it's going to happen.
I want to hear like Colin Cowherd or one of those guys go, the Dick.
That'd be awesome.
Rodgers.
If we could do that, that would be amazing. Should he have stuck with the Dick? I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know. I don't like. He wasn't going to go out for a long period of time. I don't like throwing a quarterback in for 2-3 plays, unless, of course, what game was it? The quarterback came in for 1 play and threw like a 70-yard bomb. It was Nick Mullins.
It was Nick Mullins threw it.
It was
Air Supply. It was Air Supply's Nick. Yeah, Mullins. Yeah.
He came in for like 1 play and threw a pass down the sideline for like 70 yards. So no, I mean, no, you got to stick with him. I don't want to ever see Tyrod Taylor. I don't. I have no interest in that. But if it happens, it happens. Better than Zach Wilson, that's for sure.
So whether our football teams are doing well or not, both of our baseball teams won tonight. So you guys got anything else before we depart?
I do have one comment I was just thinking about on the Simmons craziest play of his career, as he dubbed that, I think. I just love the way after the block. Did you guys see the way he fucking just steamrolled over Jason Myers too? That was the old like insult to injury kind of thing, like game winning block, and he just absolutely manhandles and just steamrolls over Myers, who, first of all, when a kicker follows through, they immediately just envision the ball going up, and blocked field goals are one of those shocking kind of plays that you don't expect, right? And then so no one knows what to do, and Myers was like, it was almost, he had that moment where oh shucks, my ball just got blocked, my kick just got blocked, and then as he's digesting that quickly, he gets steamrolled by Simmons. So that was awesome.
That was great.
I watched that. I don't know how many times you guys have watched that since Sunday, but
guys, the
Monday,
last time
I watched it about 10 times in a row, just different angles of the play, and we've all been at the stadium when on a pick six or a kickoff return. How many I don't know about you guys, but if the other team's returning something, I am immediately sitting down and I'm like holding my hand, like, and I see all these Seattle people. Everyone's just watching it play, and I'm like, sit the fuck down. I see, like, as Simmons is as we're returning, as the game's over, sit down.
So here's something that takes you back into the time.
Or leave
back
at that
machine.
point. The game was over. Yeah, just get up and leave.
The last time the Giants had a kick returned, a field goal blocked and returned was 2016. And Jonathan Hankins blocked it, and Jackrabbit, Janoris Jenkins, returned it for a touchdown. Jonathan Hankins is actually on Seattle right now. He was playing against us.
No, I didn't know that.
Still around?
Wow,
Still around.
Yeah. That's a while. You know what I read across, and it wasn't an official source, so I don't know if there's any truth to this, but if there is, it's a pretty heads up job by the Giants. Apparently, the special teams coordinator had talked to the officials before the game about, if my guy doesn't get a running start and a push down isn't a hold, and got that all clarified before the game. Now that, I don't know if you guys heard the announcers say it while the place was going nuts. It was kind of hard to hear, but I heard it on the replay. The announcer said that the Giants had this block in their book, and they saved it for a moment like this, for the end of a game moment like this. So
now what I actually heard after the game was Dable wanted to use it on an extra point earlier, and the special teams coaches, no, let's hold off.
I didn't hear that.
And they waited until the field goal instead of the extra point. And what happened was Dexter Lawrence, who was a mountain of a man, pushed down on the guard or the center, and that allowed Simmons to jump through legally.
Yeah, without a running start, without getting leverage off anybody. Yeah. I think Cardone mentioned it earlier. He's at the 50, the 40, he's running it back. I'm just staring at the bottom of the TV looking for the yellow flag. I knew it was coming. It was coming.
I wasn't celebrating yet until I knew it was a real play.
Yeah. But you made the point earlier, Mike. Even if they had kicked that, the Giants left themselves enough time, and I believe they had 3 timeouts left, not 2.
Yeah.
So there was a minute left and 3 timeouts to come back and score a field goal if they could have. But I'm glad it never got to that point. You never want to.
I even when they were lining up to kick it, I did think the Giants were going to win in regulation.
Yeah. And I don't know about you guys, but I was because it was on a blocked field goal, and it was like just one of those bang bang plays. You're not thinking. I wasn't one of the people. And I like to consider myself an intelligent fan. I didn't say get down, because a lot of people were saying obviously he should have just taken a knee somewhere down like by the 5 or something like that, because then they could have just taken knees in the game. I was thinking the same thing. It
just score.
Exactly. No, on a play like that, no, man, go in and score on something like that. It was different. Singletary did it against the Browns, right? He went down at the 1 for the Brown game. Totally. This is a different kind of play, and just a different kind of, just jam it down their throat type of scenario, which was just shocking. So, yeah.
I find it kind of sad, actually, that you guys this is like a massive play, and everyone's fixated on that stupid yellow flag thing showing up. You should be celebrating and watching the
jumping
play,
up and down.
and I know your eyes are down at the center of the bottom of the screen, waiting for the that's. If that doesn't show what the NFL is doing right now, nothing else does.
Yep.
I had to wait for it to be official.
You both said it.
I didn't exhale until the extra point. I just was sure it was coming.
Yeah.
You guys got anything else? All right. Well, we'll be back next week to go over the primetime games. Check out our website www.angryfootballfans.com.
Right.
And check out our sponsors. And I think we'll be back next week. I don't know if we'll be happy, sad, or all the above.
Tune in and find out.
Do not go to angryfans.com though. No, it downloaded a virus to my work computer. Really did. I'm not kidding.
Angryfootballfans.
Angryfootballfans.com.
Oh, jeez.
And not only fans.
Don't.
Yeah, right.
Only.
Yeah, don't do that either.
Don't accidentally type only instead of angry. That.
All right. I didn't